Chris here with yet another gimbal review. This time it's the Zhiyun Crane-M. So a smaller version of the Crane that I looked at, which is for your larger digital cameras. This one will take digital cameras that are the micro four thirds kind of size. So something like my Sony a6200, which isn't a huge digital camera, and you can put accessories on that. It can handle up to 650 grams of weight. In the box, they also include adapters for GoPros, your action cameras, generic action cameras, anything really that has the 1/4 inch thread, and there's also a bracket there you can connect on, put on it, so you can mount your mobile phones here. As you can see here, the case is really quite small, so I shouldn't have any problems putting this into my backpack and to travel around with this. It's really well made, feels quite tough, so it should take any knocks and things. And it's even got some padding on there. So we've got a few instruction manuals, warranty card, certificate. This looks like just a quick start guide, which will probably cover things like balancing it up first. Yes, it does. So balance, adjustment, mounting it. Pretty straightforward, but we'll go over that in this video. Then the user manual, of course, just explaining everything there to you. So the cables we have, that is a micro USB 2 to USB. This is our battery charger, so you have to put both the cells in there, of course, and let them charge, which will take quite a while. I think it was around about 6 hours on the Crane, so you really have to plug it in and leave it overnight. Of course, you use that with a mobile charger, so or even a computer. Anything that's got USB power, 5 volts, and I think 2 amps or whatever will slowly charge those batteries. And here are the cells here. So they're a little unusual, these ones. They're not so common. The spec of them is the IMR 26500. These, of course, are 3.7 volts, 3600 milliamp hours each. Here's the grip, so you put the batteries into that. On the bottom, there is 1/4 inch thread, so you can mount this to tripods. And then, of course, the gimbal itself, well packed in there. So the cells, of course, just go into the handle, both of them. Now, there are pros and cons to having these removable batteries. I kind of prefer it, actually. Even though the setup's a little bit longer, that you have to put the batteries in and screw it all in place, that means you can carry some extras with you. 2 of them, you get another 2, then you can shoot for up to another 12 hours. Of course, it depends on your use. If you're somewhere rough, then the batteries probably won't last up to 12 hours, of course. The bottom screws in there, and you're going to have to unmount this every single time. To screw this off, remove the batteries when you put it back in that pack. Just to note that there is no rubber seal around this, so it doesn't seem splash proof to me. I wouldn't want to be getting this region here where the controls are wet. Just looking at the weight of it. Gimbal itself is 864 grams, and with the carry case and all the other bits and pieces, 1.43 kilos. Quickly run over the controls now. So to power it on is this button here. You'll see that there's a logo there for the camera. So when you connect up, you can connect up here. But on the side here, we have another micro USB port. Unfortunately, they haven't included the cable we need, which is micro USB to micro USB. For example, with my Sony a6300, with that cable, we're then able to use that system to then control the zoom and camera and record features all via the gimbal, which is really handy. So this is the mode button. Cycling through this, we'll go into our pan modes, follow mode, and tilt mode. I'll show you that in a second when I set this all up. The joystick, of course, controls the way you want to tilt it. So the tilt and panning left and right, for example, there. And this is the zoom control with that camera function, status LED. Build quality overall is really quite good. It is all made out of metal, so top build. So using this lens setup and the external mic on my Sony a6300 is too heavy. The 18 to 105mm lens and the accessory with the microphone there comes in at just over 1 kilo, and the maximum weight is 650 grams, remember. So as you saw, my big lens just is too heavy, the whole combination. So I put the kit lens back on to my Sony a6300, and it's not even on at the moment. This has leveled out the best I could. So balancing it is very important. If you don't get this right in the beginning, then the gimbal won't work properly and you won't get the most steadiest possible shots on it. And what I've done is you need to adjust all those 3 screws there. A little tip here, make sure the logo is upright, make sure the knob faces out, the knob faces up the top here, and then you should be set. So that is really pretty good. That's balanced quite well there. So just like the mobile phone gimbals from Zhiyun, you can use the application. So it connects up via Bluetooth and it's called Zhiyun Assistant. And you can see it's detecting it as the Crane-M. And here you can control it remotely. It reports on things like your battery life, the mode you're in. So there we can control it. It gives you a full lot of controls. And the range of it is just Bluetooth range there. I'm able to move you can see in the background that it's now moving the gimbal. And you can of course reset that too if you want to restore it. Now there's a few interesting things in here. My favorites are the settings. So in the settings you can tweak and control things. I'm not too happy with the default pan rate of the joystick. I find it to be just a little too fast. And all you need to do is go into the control rate and you tweak this. I've slowed it down now to 10 degrees per second. You can tweak it down even slower to get those really nice slow pans there. Okay, so this is in the fixed mode using the kit lens, which has optical image stabilization. Now for best results, you should use a camera that does have stabilization, some form of stabilization, otherwise it could be quite shaky. And this is going to be a quick jog test. So this here is an example of shooting handheld. I haven't got the steadiest of hands. And now with the gimbal, you can see a huge difference on how steady it is. It is really quite windy here, so if you see some shakes and things, it's just the wind just blowing the gimbal around in the camera. And this is a true test of the stabilization, because this camera that I'm using now is a front-facing camera for my Samsung Galaxy S7, and it doesn't have any optical image stabilization. And you can see it's doing a really good job. Just have a look at the walls next to me, and you can see that's barely really moving.
Okay, so this is a very well made gimbal. It's got a really nice case that gives it a lot of protection. We can fit on here GoPros, mobile phones, small digital cameras, so it is versatile. Now there is a restriction on the weight of 650 grams. This couldn't handle my Sony 18mm to 105 kit lens, sorry, not the kit lens, but the big lens on it. So I had to put the kit lens on, which is disappointing. It's just too heavy for it. So really, if you're going to be using larger lenses or attachments or quite a heavy camera, then I would go for the Crane version. The Crane version can handle 1.8 kilos, so it handles a lot of weight. This of course only 650 grams. So for smaller cameras, those super zoom cameras and things like that, your little Canons, your little Panasonics, Nikons, this will be good for that. And then if you want to use the GoPro, then you can swap it out. You don't have to buy a separate just GoPro only stabilizer, that because it has the quarter thread connection on the bottom of it, which the mobile gimbals don't. But if you plan to just use mobile phones, I say go for one of their mobile gimbals instead. Me personally, because I can't use my big lens and my attachments, I don't think I'm going to use it. I think I'm going to use the Crane, and for anything else more portable, more mobile, I'm going to use the mobile phone gimbal instead there really. So battery life, now they claim it can get around 12 hours. I think that might be possible with something like the GoPro on there that's not heavy at all. It's quite light, of course, and depends, of course, on the conditions. So if you're running, this is moving a lot, the motors are working hard, they do get quite hot, then you're only looking about 6 hours battery life. It really does half the battery life depending on what you're doing. Big heavy camera again, it's going to be working a lot, so it won't last for so long. It's good the fact that we do have the removable batteries, so you can have some freshly charged ones in, swap them over, great. So overall, it is a decent gimbal. It just doesn't really have a place here with me or what I want to do with it. But as mentioned, for smaller cameras, it's good. Got a larger camera, get the Crane. Got a mobile phone instead, go for that. And then if you're someone that's got a GoPro, then yeah. Thanks a lot for watching, and I do hope to see you back in the channel soon. Bye for now.